Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday, September 1st, 2015. Thanks for tuning into episode 46 of Cardoodle. This is Jim. Today I'm doing another speed drawing, this time of a living corn dog. For no other reason than I was eating a corn dog at the time I started drawing. As for an update in the Not Christmas cartoon, which I plan to have released in September, going is kinda slow on that. I've got a little under 2 minutes of footage to complete for that one, though almost all of the artwork is actually finished. But I'm doing my very best to use every spare second I have to work on that. As time goes on, I should have a more precise release date for that video. In the meantime, go ahead and check out the teaser I made last week. I'm putting a link in the upper right corner right about now, and of course another one will be in the video description. Every time I hit a little bit of a delay in a video release, I always think about how pretty much every plan I've ever made kind of goes awry. And it hit me hard, especially today, because I was browsing on the Channel Frederator forum and somebody posted a topic of what was your first video. And so I thought, well, I think my first video uploaded to YouTube was my, I want to say technically 8th blog from when I was putting videos up on Facebook. I'd switched to YouTube because Facebook's video uploader actually wasn't very good at the time. I don't know if it's gotten any better. Then I eventually posted all the Facebook blogs up there, which in turn became Ordinary Jim, which led into Welcome to Boulder Dash. But then I thought a little bit harder, and I thought, oh, my first video was back when I was in college, around 18, with a short that I made in Flash, which was voiced by me and my brother. I posted that on DeviantArt back when I was active there. It might still be floating around out there. It was done in a very similar style to my current videos, so the animation wasn't nearly as smooth as it is now. It was very stiff, and I went way too heavy on the noise reduction, so much so that the audio was too quiet and I had to add subtitles. But then I was thinking about it, I realized that actually wasn't my first animation. It must have been back in high school when I was taking a computer programming course in BASIC. It was part of my final exam project. I don't remember exactly what the requirements were for the final project, but what I made was actually a short silent animation of two guys in a snowball fight. One threw a snowball at the other, and the other retaliated by taking a cannon and shooting a giant snowball at the other guy. And that was actually done entirely with code. So it actually wasn't a very efficient process. There was no timeline like there is in Anime Studio or Flash. I'd have to write a few lines of code, test it out, write a few more lines of code again, test it out, fix a few lines of codes, and so forth. And then I thought further back, and that actually turns out it wasn't my first animation either. I realized that I actually used something using a Microsoft-based GIF animator. I took some Pokemon sprites, modified them in Microsoft Paint, and then put them together as sort of a slideshow, which was then later exported as a GIF. And yes, I'm still pronouncing it GIF. I don't care what anyone else says. GIF does not make sense. But anyway, I think I have kind of 2 points to this. I think the first point is that it usually takes a lot longer to get where you want to be than you expect it will. 10 years ago, if you told me I'd still be working in retail and only be working on animations as a side gig, I would probably be devastated. And the second point, I think, is that where you want to be may change over time. Your path isn't always going to be as straightforward as you expect. Back when I made that Pokemon GIF, I wanted to make a Pokemon website and be the next big Pokemon guy, because those websites were pretty big at the time. I put hours and hours of work into making custom sprites for that stuff. Then in high school, when I made that little cartoon using BASIC, for a while I thought I might be a computer programmer. Years later, I would realize that was not for me at all. I don't have the right kind of brain for it. Then shortly after that cartoon in college, my interests shifted a bit to journalism, and I thought I'd be in that field. And if you watch some of my previous videos, you know how that went. And so years later, I came back to the same art form that I fell in love with as a little kid. It wasn't as straightforward as I was led to believe by well-meaning school teachers or the movies I watched. You know, you always hear about the person who had a set goal and always worked towards that goal and eventually came out on top, and you realize it doesn't really work like that. You change over time, you become a different person than you were years before. You work on different projects, become passionate about different things. Maybe you never accomplish the initial thing that you set out to achieve, or maybe you do, but you come about it in a completely different way than you expected. I guess I'm saying I'm at a place right now where I don't know where I'm going to go next. Oddly enough, I'm half okay with that. The other half of me is terrified, but I think I understand now that it's okay if things don't go the way you plan. In fact, that seems to be the rule rather than the exception. Well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed my armchair intellectualism while watching me draw a goofy picture of a corn dog. And remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. And as always, do like your mom told you and share. I'll see you wonderful people next week.